Oh,
Oh,
so
so
it's
it's
hot.
hot.
Is that what you
Sorry, I
said?
said?
No, it's rainy season.
Oh,
Oh,
rainy.
rainy.
Oh,
Yeah, so cold that
that's.
That's
that we don't have a snow. But I just want to ask something for my application because I really don't know why is that. Because I was expecting that my EB3 is the same on the nurse, and I don't know. I think it's my loss for being such a not researchable or maybe not too mindy about the thing. But the problem is I was just scoring along with my phone application, which is the case tracker of NVC, and I am expecting that nurses and other workers there in the US have the same AB3, but suddenly I just ask you in maybe a couple of days around, and you told me that my EB3 is specifically categorized as uh, other workers, which is I was shocked that it's not the current year. It is supposed to be catering a prior, or maybe we should say I was not expecting that from that kind of priority date, which is 1 year and 5 months back there, rather than the nurse, which is currently updated, which is 1 month gap in the present date as of this day.
Yeah, I
I
can
can
understand why
understand why
that would
that would
be
be
frustrating to
frustrating to
find
find
out. And
out.
I'm
I'm
sorry
sorry
that
that
your
your
previous
previous
case
case
manager
manager
didn't
didn't
explain
explain
that
that
more
more
clearly
clearly
to
to
you.
you.
So
So
if
if
you
you
had,
had,
like,
like,
since you
since you
had
had
passed your
passed your
NCLEX
NCLEX
before
before
you
you
are
are
filed
filed
to
to
the
the
USCIS,
USCIS,
you
you
would
would
have been
have been
able
able
to
to
transfer
transfer
over
over
to the
to the
RN
RN
route.
route.
But
But
after
after
you're
you're
filed
filed
to
to
the
the
USCIS,
USCIS,
then
then
you
you
would
would
remain
remain
on the
on the
nurse
nurse
aid
aid
route
route
throughout the
throughout the
remainder of
remainder of
your
your
petition,
petition,
which
which
would
would
keep
keep
you in
you
the
in the
EB3
EB3
other
other
category.
category.
And
Yeah,
And
so
so
you
you
are
are
technically
technically
able
able
to
to
withdraw.
withdraw.
The
The
only
only
issue
issue
there
there
is
is
that
that
since
since
you've
you've
been
been
filed
filed
to the
to the
USCIS,
USCIS,
once
once
you are
you are
in
in
stage
stage 5
5 and
and
6,
6,
then
then
you
you
would
would
need
need
to
to
pay
pay
back
back
Worldwide
Worldwide
Health
Health
Staff
Staff
Solutions
Solutions
for
for
the
the
money
money
that's
that's
been
been
spent
spent
on
on
your
your
behalf
behalf
because
because
there's
there's
lots
lots
of
of
fees
fees
and
and
associated with
associated
the
with the
filing
filing
process.
process.
So
So
currently
currently
that
that
would
would
be
be
3,000
3,000
US
US
dollars.
dollars.
And
And
so
so
the
the
reason I
reason I
wanted to
wanted to
talk to
talk
you
to
on
you
the
on the
phone
phone
before you
before you
just
just
withdrew
withdrew
is
is
so
so
you
you
were
were
aware
aware
that
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 money
money
would
would
need to
need
be
to be
paid
paid
back
back
now.
now.
And
And
since
since
that's a
that's a
lot
lot
of
of
money,
money,
I
I
want you
want
to
you to
be
be
aware of
aware of
all
all
the
the
options
options
you
you
have
have
right
right
now
now
and
and
make
make
sure
sure
that
that
you
you
just
just
know
know
what's
what's
going
going
on.
on.
Um,
Um,
and
and
then
then
you
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 can
can
still
still
withdraw
withdraw
if
if
you
you
want
want
to,
to,
but
but
since
since
the
the
Visa
visa
bulletin
bulletin
is
is
kind of
kind of
hard
hard
to
to
determine
determine
how
how
far it
far it
jumps
jumps
ahead
ahead
at
at
what
what
point,
point,
it's currently
currently
it's
it's
pretty
pretty
far
far
behind,
behind,
but
but
that
that
can
can
change
change
pretty
pretty
quickly
quickly
because
because
there's
there's
no
no
way
way
to
to
know
know
how
how
many
many
people
people
are
are
in
in
each have
have
each
each
priority
priority
date.
date.
So it's
So it's
hard to
hard
know
to know
how
how
fast
fast
or
or
slow
slow
it
it
will
will
move
move
forward.
forward.
So
So
it's
it's
true
true
that the
that the
RN
RN
route
route
is
is
currently
currently
much
much
faster
faster
than the
than the
nurse
nurse
aid
aid
route,
route,
but
but
you've
you've
already
already
come
come
so
so
far
far
with
with this
this process
process
that
that
it
it
may
may
be
be
best,
best,
even though
even though
it's
it's
longer,
longer,
to
to
just
just
remain
remain
because
because
you
you
already
already
have an
have an
active
active
petition
petition
than
than
trying to
trying to
find
find
a
a
new
new
company to
company to
work
work
with
with
and a
and a
new
new
process
process
and
and
begin
begin
again,
again
because
because
sometimes
sometimes
that
that
looks
looks
suspicious
suspicious
to the
to the
US
US
government
government
if
if
people
people
have
have
petitions
petitions
this
this
far
far
along
along
and
and
then
then
change
change
and
and
try a
try a
different
different
one.
one.
So
So
I
I
don't
don't
want it
want
to
it to
cause
cause
any
any
issues
issues
that
that
way
way
either.
either.
yeah, I do understand, but I really wanted to correct that. Before I signed the contract, I was not an NCLEX passer, and after a year, couple of years of waiting, I passed my NCLEX exam this January 2022, and I assume I'm not passing the exam since I I really lost my faith on it passing, but suddenly it just popped up, and then I'm very grateful to pass that kind of exam. But as for now, uh, I'm very much happy that you talked to me, called me rather than the other case manager, because you explain it thoroughly to me. And as of this moment, I am not really literally 100% decided yet
Okay.
regarding that withdrawal. I am only just asking ma'am for those information that is very crucial to me, because I am so very confused right now, because as you know, uh, I have applied I already applied a nursing aid and done my interview. That was May 2020, and I got my ETA from the DOL, Department of Labor,
Mm-hmm.
from in November 20, this past November 21, 20, no, November 1, 2021, and I have spent 1 year waiting for ETA, rather than a nurse, which is would cost you 15 days, or maybe just like what Ron Hope say, just for just a couple 4 months to 6 months. But because of the COVID situation, they have reached me into my maximum point, which is 1 year. And from that momentum, I was ready to withdraw my application, but suddenly, my previous case manager had decided. I don't know. The previous manager messaged me that I already have a USCIS, but as of now, after filing my USCIS case to the department, which is the Maryland, I am currently working for the NBC. I really don't know how far would I go, because it's a 1 year and 5 months, and maybe it took me for
Mm-hmm.
2 years, and I really don't want to uh, stay that kind of uh, game game waiting. Maybe if I could apply something that I am just confused. Maybe I could apply as an USRN. Maybe I could get back to the game. Maybe just a 1 year, on 1 year and a half, I could go to the US, since USRN nowadays are uh, very much hiring in the different state of the United States, and
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know. I'm confused right now. But as you say, you advise me from you advise me that it would be better if I stay, because the U.S. government the processing agency will ask me why I withdraw my visa from nursing aid, and they maybe become more suspicious if I'm back out from this kind of visa. Then maybe I could stay. I still don't know yet. I couldn't 100% decided yet. But as of this moment, I just want to ask: is that the $3,500 if I withdraw?
So it would be
Is that
just
the exact
$3,000 between
3,000?
stages 5 and 6. And then once you reach stage 7, so once your fee bill arrives, then it jumps up to $5,000. So there is that difference. So if you do want to withdraw, I would withdraw before your fee bill arrives, so you don't owe the extra $2,000. However, like, it's not a guarantee. There's because each interview is different. You could successfully withdraw and find another company to work for and come through as an RN. But since either way, although the wait is longer, that's basically the main difference. Is if you are okay with the wait that it takes, because once you arrive in the U.S., because there are so many RN positions that are needed, then what happens most of the time is if an NA has already passed the NCLEX, once they get here, the company that they work for, after they've worked for just a few months, will want to transition them to an unregistered nurse role, because that is a harder role to fill than to find a nurse aide. So either way, in the United States, you will end up working as a registered nurse. That's why we encourage all the nurse aides to take the NCLEX and prepare for English exams and prepare for licensure, because then you'll transfer over anyway. So the main difference is just the waiting period. But since you're already like filed and we're waiting on a fee bill, the only thing we'd be waiting on after that is your embassy interview, which is what will cause the long wait. But if you withdraw and find a new company, that process to get to this point might end up taking a long time anyway. So it might not be as big of a time difference as it seems. So I don't want you to withdraw and then find out that it was hard to find a new place and to come as an RN initially and then take the same amount of time. So ultimately the decision is yours. I just always want to make sure that everyone understands their options before they make any decisions, because this is, either way, you'll end up here. You'll end up in the United States, you'll end up with a registered nurse job. So the main difference is just if you have a way to wait the time, or if you feel like it would be faster going a different route. Was that all clear?
Yeah, that's clear.
Okay.
I have a question if I'm going to withdraw, since
Sure.
actually I'll be honest with my salary in the hospital. Uh, in a month, I already got a salary at $236. And if I'm planning to withdraw, is there any time or any favored position that you maybe I could not pay you in just one-time payment, or maybe a staggered payment?
So it's a separate department that you work with to work with the process of paying that money back. The case managers don't handle the finances. You would be transferred over to someone else, and I'm not sure all the different options that they give people to work with that. I think that they set up payment plans sometimes, or sometimes it's depending on the amount that they have you pay it off in one chunk. I'm not really sure.
Ah, okay. If if it happens to be that you have a vacant time, or you have a open communication, could you
Yeah.
open up
Sure.
just on my case, because I can't really pay you back with 3,000 US dollars with one-time payment, because I only got a salary of $236 in just 1 month. I couldn't pay for the
Yeah.
thousand kind.
I understand that.
It
Yeah,
took me
some
a
of the
month.
people are still gone because they still have off for Christmas, but I'll send emails to the people and I'll let you know as soon as I hear back.
Yeah.
It just might take a little longer because a few people are still, they took all this week off of work, so it's hard to tell who's in the office and who isn't.
Yeah. If you are just vacant, and if there's any open communication or somebody just available, it's fine with me. It's with a delayed response. At least you just send them a message, or I'll just wait for them for the feedback. That's no problem for me. And I would like to ask also, if what if I'm going to uh, while I applying for a visa as a nursing aide, could I apply another visa for as a USRN?
If, like, could you have two applications going at the
Yeah,
same time?
yeah.
No, so you can only have one petition, one active petition at a time. So if you're coming through in one visa category, you would have to like completely cancel that and then begin a new one. The US government, because then everybody would try to have like as many as possible to just see which one happened first. And
Mm.
the US government is not a fan of that. They're,
Mm.
yeah.
So it's really impossible. Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
if and is there any way that I could get back from the from a nursing aide to a USRN by
If you
by WHS by the help of the Worldwide Health Staff?
if you could transfer to the RN route with Worldwide, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, before I
Um,
go before I arrive in the US.
So with that one, no. So that one, like I said earlier, in order to transition over to the RN route with Worldwide, it would have to be before you were filed to the USCIS. So once someone's filed to the USCIS, they have to remain on the nurse aid route until they arrive here, and then they can transition to a registered nurse job. But we don't have nurse aides transition over.
Yeah, I've got another idea, and my second
Okay.
option is to pay for the $3,000, and I have to work as I have to work from that 3,500 and pay it back. Then after that, I'm going to apply as a USRN. So is that possible? Would the worldwide health staff would allow me with that kind of situation? It's maybe impossible, and it's very
You wouldn't need, so if you withdrew, you
Yeah.
wouldn't need to wait until you had paid us back to find a different company to work for that would have you go through as an RN. You wouldn't have to wait until everything was paid back before you could start with a new company. But I honestly, Christian, I really like I know the wait is a long wait, but I
Yeah.
think in the long run it will, because I know that Worldwide like tries so hard to make sure that when you arrive in the US you have the support you need, and they set you up with housing, and they pay for your flights to come here. Like there's a lot of things that they do for nurses and nurse aides that other companies don't. So I just like, we've done research with other companies and to see what they offer and what they provide. And so, although it's still a long wait, which, like I said before, if that's something that is, if that's the biggest thing you're concerned about, I understand. But as far as companies to work for, you're working with a good company right now, and it would make me sad to see you withdraw and then not find a company that is as good. So I just
Yeah.
want to make sure that you take your time to ponder this before you make an official decision.
Yeah, you're actually right. And I'm actually listening right now 100% more, 100%, 1%. It's kind of really confusing, but it teases me because I'm really worried because that's 1 year and 5 months gap in between my priority date. So I'm just worried that it would take me 2 to 3 years before I get back on the priority date of November 1. I'm still that kind of worried, and that stage is only for stage 7, and I still have more stage left to wait beside that. I'm just planning to take an IELTS, and I think it would be a disadvantage for me to take an IELTS because I really don't. I know that you don't need an IELTS for a nursing aid, but I really have a guts to take an IELTS because of the visa screening requirements here in the Philippines. So if that's the case, then it would make me after 2 years or 1 year take an IELTS before rather than this year or maybe in 2023 because the IELTS will just expire and will become more useless because of the gap of the priority date in NVC.
Yeah,
But
that makes
considering
sense.
but considering from your point of view, okay, it's really starting to plunder my blank thought about.
Yeah. I think also, so even though you're only in stage 6 right now, once your visa or once your fee bill arrives, then, um, and it can be paid off because you have no dependents on your petition currently, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so then Worldwide will just pay your fee bill, and then once your civil documents are all like submitted to the attorney and they submit them to the NVC, then you go from stage 7 to stage 9B pretty quickly. Like then you'll fill out the DS-260 and we'll wait for you to become documentarily qualified by the NVC. And once that happens, all you're waiting for is your embassy date to become or your priority date to become current to schedule your embassy interview. So you go through the next stages pretty fast. These ones, like, I feel like stages 3, 4, and 5 seem to take forever to go through. And then once you're in stage 6, 6, 7, 8, and 9 just go by really quickly. And once you're in stage 9, there's an English program that Worldwide has that helps prepare you if you want to take the IELTS or the TOEFL and helps you get ready for that.
So, an English program, so it means I have to take an IELTS. Am I correct?
No, nope, you don't have to take the IELTS or the
Just an
TOEFL. It's
optional.
just you work with a English professional that works for Worldwide, and she has courses set up that help those who are wanting to take that in the future, that want to become RNs, have some tricks and tips to be prepared for it. Her name is Carrie, and she just helps all the people get ready for those tests. And yeah, so once again, the choice is yours. I just want to make sure that you feel confident in your decision and that you don't make a decision and then, like you said, find out after that something wasn't what you thought. And I strongly believe as a case manager, it's my job to make sure that everybody knows as much information as possible so they can feel confident with the decisions that they make. So
Yeah, I'm delighted with this kind of talking with you. It makes sense. And I just wanna ask question. Can I ask because I have seen I already my contract, which is $14 per month. Is that correct?
yours currently says.
Is there any way
Yeah, it looks like $14.82 an hour.
Is there any way that will get to increase since I am a nurse and secondly I am currently working in a special area in the emergency room?
Yeah, so that's another reason why that we encourage people to take the NCLEX and prepare to come to transition to an RN role because nurse aides in the United States make like roughly between $13 and $16 an hour. So that's not a ton as far as like wages go in the United States. But once you transition to an RN role, they make a decent amount of money, like upwards of $65,000 a year in the United States, which is a very comfortable living wage. So that's another reason why I don't want you to have to withdraw and have anything change because ultimately you only have to work for 120 days as a NA when you arrive.
Yeah.
And then after that you can transition to a registered nurse role. And since you have specific experience that's needed in the United States, you would just transition over. So you'd only be making the $14.82 an hour for a few months before you transition to a registered nurse's pay, which is like triple what that is.
Yeah. Can I ask what is the minimum requirements as a nursing aide? I mean minimum years of requirements.
For
nursing aid?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand the question. Like, of how
No,
long
I
you
just,
have to work in the
I
United
mean,
States?
yeah, just don't worry. I have a follow-up questions because as I know, there were two of my friends have already gone to the U.S. with the help of WWHS which is Dan Makiran and Eliza Katahay. So that two of my friends told me about the salary in the nursing aid. So it's between 30 to 40, as they said, when they don't have any agency with them. I mean, they already have they already work there in the U.S. for more than 5 years, and they already have a high grade salary, which is 30 to 40. So I'm just confused because you're referring me at $14 to $16 for a nursing aid, while my friends are talking about that nursing aid here in the U.S. is most likely 30 to $40.
Did you say 30 or 40 or 13 to 14?
30 to 40.
Oh, so as a registered nurse, they make about 30 to $40 an hour. As a nurse aide, they generally make like less than 16.
Okay. So
Yeah.
maybe if you are on the agency.
Yeah, because I have friends who are U.S. citizens that work as nurse aides, and because it takes so much less schooling and less skills, and like you're not responsible for as much, the pay is a lot lower. So that's why it's much better to, like, the nurse aide route is a great route to get to the United States, so you can prepare to become a registered nurse, but it would be difficult if you remained as a nurse aide like the whole time you lived in the United States. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
I'd like to ask also. I'm
Sure.
planning to on another plan because I just wanna earn some money because as I have told me, the previous case manager wanted, or you rather, wanted me to have a savings for $1,000 to 5,000. Am I correct?
That's
Just
correct.
for just before I arrive in the US, because that will be my allowance for a couple of months, maybe 1 to 2 months, and I think it's really difficult for me to have that kind of earning since my my earnings are I mean salary is only just 56 dollars $256, and it would decrease more likely on my commodities, and I think just planning to go with another job, just like health insurance or uh, the U.S. the U.S. based health insurance, like a call center agent or BPO, which is related to health also, health insurances. So I just wanted to get out of my bedside care just to earn money. And second thing, I would get back if the priority date is getting closer.
So just to clarify, you're saying that
I mean,
between right
just a
now
plan.
and when you arrive in the United States, you want to get a different kind of job where you
Yeah.
currently are,
Yes,
so that you could be
this
making
is
more
not.
money
Yeah.
until in preparation to come to the United States. So you'd like to leave a bedside job and find a different job in the Philippines to make more money until you arrive, correct?
Yeah. Or
Okay, yeah. So you're able to work different jobs. It's just before you go to your embassy interview, it's important that you obtain a bedside nursing job because that is what you're coming to the United States to do. So they want to see that you're currently doing that, because it also looks suspicious if you're like working as in a call center but coming to the United States as a medical professional. Then they kind of frown on that. So you could get a different job for the next like year to save up money, but then before you're like probably around 6 months before your embassy interview, it would be wise to obtain a bedside nursing job again, just so that that's what you're doing when you go to your embassy interview, because that's what your petition is for. So they want to see that you have current experience that's up to date. Does that make sense? Even though you have a lot of experience, they want to know that that's what you're doing right now. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Oh, hello? No? Christian, can you hear me? Hello?
Hello? Could you
Oh,
hear me?
oh yeah, I can hear you now.
I'm
Can you hear
sorry.
me?
Yeah. I'm sorry. My my mic just got off.
Oh no,
But
you're fine.
I really understand what you're saying about, because I have a separate connection in between my microphone and my audio output, so I
Oh, okay.
could I think that's a wonderful thing that you could offer me regarding that kind, because that kind of experience, since I could earn up more money, because the last time I talked with my case manager, is very difficult to argue, because she's just pushing me that I still don't want she still don't want me to have another job. But since
Yeah.
I already confirmed that you allowed me to get another job before embassy interview, well, that's a great idea. I mean,
Yeah.
that is a pleasure thing to me.
Good. Okay. Yeah, it's like I said, it's encouraged. Like, because this is the kind of petition you're coming through, it's better if you're able to have a nurse aid job and save money. But I understand with your current income, wanting to get something, get a different job that helps you earn a lot of money, so then you can have the savings. Just keep in mind to plan it around like being able to stop whatever job you find and then get another bedside nursing job before your embassy interview, because it tends to cause problems for nurse aides that show up to the embassy interview that aren't currently doing a bedside nurse aid job.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
Is that embassy interview will come in the DS260?
So you'll fill out the DS-260, and that's kind of like your official visa application form. And then once that's filed, then the NVC will either ask for more documents. If there's something they don't understand, they'll issue what's called an NVC checklist, which
Yeah.
basically just says, we want more information on some kind of something that you submitted, and then the attorney will provide it, and then it usually takes about a month, like 4 to 5 weeks, before they'll then say that you're documentarily qualified. And once you're DQ'd, is what we call it, once you're DQ'd, then you're just waiting until they contact you to set up an interview. So once you get to like stage 9B, there's just kind of a long wait after that of just waiting for your priority date to become current enough for them to schedule an interview.
Yeah,
And
that's
then,
great.
yep. And you can usually kind of gauge with the visa bulletin when a good time to like regain a bedside nursing job would be. And yeah, because I have a couple other nurse aides that I work with who are doing different jobs just to save money faster, and then have a job plan to just transition back over. It's not like the best option in the whole world, but since they know that you need to save money, as long as you're working as a nurse aide before your embassy interview, it doesn't really cause any issues.
Well, that's great. Yeah, I totally understand that. Yeah,
Perfect.
I've got also another question. But
Sure.
since I already gone up to the NVC and waiting for the people, what if is what if that time I'm gonna marry, and I will petition her in the US. Do you think that the next year will be fine to petition that kind of person, and it would be best thing to do, or rather than it would,
So
or it
once
would
your
cost
fee
you
bill
way.
arrives, it's best to add any dependents sooner rather than later. It just, once your fee bill arrives before all of your documents are submitted to the NVC, if you get married somewhere in between that time frame, like in the next couple of months, then the attorney would just, you send your new spouse's documents to me, their civil documents, so like their passport, birth certificate, your marriage certificate, and then the attorney makes a request to the NVC to have a fee bill issued for them, and that takes about like 2 to 3 months to happen for the attorney to make the request, and then for the NVC to create a fee bill and send it back. Usually takes about 3 months, and then at that point they're on your petition. So then moving forward, it doesn't really cause it. Just, yeah, you just move forward at that point. If you add a dependent after your DS-260 has been submitted, then still the attorney has to go back to the NVC and request a fee bill be issued, and then it kind of, that causes more of a delay. That, so kind of the longer you wait, the longer the delay it takes, because the more steps you've done, so the more steps the attorney and the NVC kind of have to backtrack to add a spouse to. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So
So
it
it
would
doesn't
come.
cause a huge problem, but it will just cause a delay.
Okay. It will just stagger the maybe a couple of 3 months.
Yeah, like 3 months. And if you add it after the DS-260, sometimes it can take 4 or 5 months. You are technically able to add a dependent and up to your embassy interview. It's just, it's kind of like, basically, if you think of it as like the U.S. government wants to do as little as possible, so they want everything to be laid out for them as easy as possible. So anytime there's anything that is different than the natural flow, they take their time to respond to it. So, like, the longer you wait, just basically the more of a delay it causes, because the more they have to go back and change things. And yeah, the U.S. government is not fast about anything they don't want to do. Sometimes.
And that's a real true. I mean, that's a reality.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately. Yeah.
Is there any kind of expedite regarding that NVC for me to have a faster um, priority date? No.
No, so your priority date is based off of when you're filed to the Department of Labor. So basically the day the attorney submits that initially, it's kind of time stamped, and that is what ends up being your priority date.
Okay, so it means I have to wait for the long.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes this time of year, like usually they try to be pretty productive the first quarter of the year. So sometimes between January and April, priority dates jump a lot. So it's hard. It's like, it's just kind of like watching the lottery. Like you never really know what it's going to end up being, which is why I just make sure that everybody knows how to check it, because sometimes it stays the same for months, and other times it'll jump 6 months in just a few months' time. There's like no rhyme or reason to it.
Okay, so I'm just a fan of Case Tracker in the NVC because I have nursing, which is the category 1. It's just a skilled worker for the nurses. So as I have observed for just 1 month, every week they would update it every Tuesday, and I don't know, it's Monday. They will update it every Monday, and the priority date will move every week for just a couple of 4 to 5 days only. So So I'm just wondering how would the nursing in the area of the nursing aid would really go fast for that just like 4 to 5 days. Just but as you say, a January to April it would come to a lottery, so no one knows it. It would jump off just a month of or 2 months. Am I right?
Kind of, it's hard to tell because it's based off of like how many people are in line. So because the other workers category like has a lot more people that can petition under that category, there's just a lot more people in line, where the EB3, the skilled worker category that the registered nurses fall under, there's less people in that line, so it goes by faster. So because the other workers category kind of has a bigger umbrella of things that fall under it, then it just slows down the process. So it's hard to say if there's like 100 people with a June 1st, 2020 priority date or 1,000 people. Does that make sense? So sometimes the embassies will be really efficient and get things done quickly, and sometimes they are not so efficient and don't get things done very quickly. So it's just, yeah, it's kind of tricky to be, yeah, a case manager in this position because we really don't have, as far as this like as far as the visa bulletin, it's just kind of a wait and see, and we hope that every embassy is efficient. But it does usually move a little bit the beginning of the year generally, but this is, yeah, for more experienced case managers that have been doing this longer than I've been alive, that seems to be the trend they've noticed.
Yeah, and there were a lot of thousands of people.
Yeah. Also, you just had a birthday a couple weeks ago. Happy birthday again.
Thanks.
We're almost the same age.
We're almost. So
Yeah,
how
my birthday. Yeah, my birthday is in about a month.
so how old are you now? Is it 31
Yep,
in
right now I'm
the month
31.
of September, October, something like that?
I'll be 32 in January.
Oh,
Yeah.
you'll be 32.
Yeah. We're just young. You and I, Christian, we've got our whole lives ahead of us. So that's
So you get a kids too?
Do I have children?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah.
No, my husband and I have not yet had any children.
Oh, so you're married to
Someday.
each other?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought Americans got married in the age of 18 to 21. So it's
Yeah.
uncommon for you to have the age of 32.
I broke the mold and I got married just a year ago.
I think so. You're so very beautiful because you have a lot of boyfriend out there just broke their heart, and and you would literally say, "Oh, you're not the kind of person I want to be in the whole life."
Yeah.
I just okay. Number
Yeah, and
two,
also,
number three.
I wanted to clarify something. I saw a note on your profile that your I don't know if your current or previous girlfriend was Rose May. Is that still correct?
Yeah, actually, I'm
Okay.
just a little bit worried about her because she has already applied uh June June 2020, and I have applied to the Blood Village this 2020 of May, and it's a 3 months gap, and until now she doesn't have any APA at all. I really don't know, and I think she's just working out with an NCLEX exam, and maybe she wanted to if she could pass an NCLEX exam, she would literally decide that she would rather go as a user in WWHS rather than the nursing aid. Actually, I already advised her about my kind of situation. It's really hard for me, very hard, because at my point it's really difficult because it would cost me a huge amount of money because peso to dollar is really much huge money to take
Yeah.
rather than you were in the US. It's a small thing. The $3,000 US dollars is it's a small thing. You could just earn this for just a couple of 6 months or 1 year, but I've advised her not. Just take the NCLEX exam, take your time, and after that, if you pass the NCLEX exam, then you would sign a contract as a USR rather than a nursing aid. Because I got a pretty huge problem as a nursing aid.
Yeah, you're like, don't do the same thing I did. We'll switch. Yeah, I know Rose's case manager really well, and she has a really good case manager. So I I can see on her file here that
Yeah,
it looks like that's what they're planning on for her
yeah,
to work on that. So that sounds like a good plan. You have given really good advice, and you can also let her know when if she transfers over, if she passes the NCLEX and transfers over, that yeah, she's in good hands with her case manager. So
yeah. I
yeah,
think it's pretty well. I think you explained it pretty well. I'm very happy that I have talked to you for just maybe a 1 hour or 40 minutes and
yeah,
a couple
yeah.
of laughs.
Good. I'm glad this was helpful. And if you have any questions, email me anytime. We have another long weekend coming up this weekend because of the first of
New
the
Year?
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our holiday, like the next couple weeks, being in and out of the office is a little bit more sporadic than usual, but I'll be here most days. So just if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And I did hear back from, I had sent a quick email to a person who knows more about the payment process than I do, and she said that they allow about, looks like she said that they can go up to 6 months, a 6 month payment plan. So if you do decide to withdraw, she said that they allow up to 6 months for it to be paid back.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'm just not decided yet.
Okay,
I will
that's
have take time to decide more, so I could just there's no regret from it.
mhm.
I think that's a better way to take time.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah, take your time, and if you have any questions, reach out to me. And just know that I am rooting for you to make it here. So just any question you have is a good question. So, and if you want to have a phone call again in another week or so, just to talk about anything you've thought over, I'm more than happy to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. It's very awesome to talk
You're
with you.
welcome. Yeah, it was good to talk to you too. It's always so much better to talk on the phone than to try and email 5,000 emails back and forth. So this is good.
Yeah, it's really difficult to email because all you have to do is scroll down, scroll down, and after
Yeah.
that, if you miss something detailed, then you would just scroll up, back read, back and forth. It's
Yeah.
it's better to talk rather than to
Yeah.
have a message because every day you get used to get message for just a couple of one question.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So feel
It's
free to
really
email
hard.
me or call me, and yep, this works great. I appreciate your time so much, Christian. Thank you for talking with me, and
Yeah.
I will be sending all of the good positive energy your way as you're making your decision.
Yeah, and more power.
Yes, there you
Send
go.
me more power. Only just to get faster from this stage 7.
Yeah. But I always pray that the U.S. government goes faster than they normally do. So that's
Yeah, praise God.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you have a blessed day, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, yeah, wonderful. Pleasure to meet you.
Nice to
Okay.
meet you too.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.
Good
Good
night.
morning. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, yeah. Good night too. Get some sleep. Yeah. Bye.
bye bye.